Good morning, class 10. This is the revision of the year chapter, uh, the Union Executives, and today I'm going to revise the President part of. As you know, the executive of the Government of India consists of the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and the Council of the Members. Now, if any question can be asked like this, how is the executive of the Indian Union constituted? So you will answer properly, frame your answer. The executive of the Indian Union consists of the President, Vice President, Prime Minister, and the Council of Ministers. Now, they can ask you who is the chief executive authority of the Indian Union. So, the chief executive authority of the Indian Union is the president. It means head is the president. So, now the question comes to you, who elects the president of India? So, the president is elected by an electoral college which is consists of members of the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha, and the state legislative assemblies of the states of the Indian Union. State legislative assembly means Vidhan Sabha. Now here you can be asked then what is this electoral college? So an electoral college consists of legislative elected members of both the houses of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states, including union territory possessing assemblies. So, whenever it is asked, frame the answer properly. Okay, now we are coming to that. Now, how many electors should the nomination papers for the prospective presidential candidate be proposed and seconded? So, a prospective presidential candidate is required to get his nomination proposed by at least 50 elected members, that is electors, and seconded by another 50 electors. You know, previously it was only 10-10, but to like when so many people used to undeserving candidates used to fill up this nomination for the presidential candidate. So now the members, they have increased that. Now the 50 members will like required to get his nomination paper proposed. Proposed means they will say they are agree with this person and they give the name of this person, whoever is their candidate for the presidential. And the next 50 electors, that is the elected members, they will seconded it. They will say yes for this candidate. Seconded means this. Now we are coming to the question, uh, like what is the value of these votes? Like you are having members of parliament, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and Vidhan Sabha also. So what is the process for that? How to find out the members value of the votes? So for that, we are having a simple formula for the Vidhan Sabha. We have a formula that the vote value will be total population of the state divided by the total number of elected members of the legislative assembly. It means how many members are there in the Vidhan Sabha. Whatever uh, comes, that is divided by 1000. That is the weightage or the value of the vote of a Legislative Assembly member. Okay. Now come to the point of the parliament. What is the value of the vote of that? That is total voting power of all the states. Whatever is the total voting power of all the states divided by elected members of the parliament. This is done because everybody will get a proper proportion for the election of the president. Now we are coming to regarding about that. What is the qualification for the candidate to be president of India? So first thing is very common. He should be a citizen of India. He should be of 35 years of age at the time of election. He must be qualified for election as a member of Lok Sabha but shall not be a member. It is not compulsory that he should be the member of that Lok Sabha, but he should have all the qualification which is required by the Lok Sabha members. Okay, and he should not hold any office of profit under the central or state government, and he should not be proclaimed that is an offender or a sentenced criminal under the law of the country. So these are the things which are needed for uh, filling the nomination for the presidential candidate. Uh, then the security of 15,000 is needed for filing for the nomination. Okay, and if he is like he fails to get at least 1/6 of the total votes, then the security, we say na, that this, whatever security is given, that is forfeited. It means that the security, we call it jabt ho jati hai uski security. So that is he lost his like his security. Now the regarding this, this is now tenure of that president, that is for 5 years he is elected. Now sometimes they ask you this question, why do we have the indirect election for the post of the president? So it is not that like something very big issue for this indirect election. The only thing is that the makers of the Indian constitution like intentionally chose this path because they wanted to establish a parliamentary system, and in the parliamentary system the prime minister, that is directly elected person, is the head of the government. So the president is the ceremonial head of the state and not the real head of the government. He has to act according to the advice of the council of members with the prime minister as his head. So thus, when we are having indirect election, it makes it very clear that the person is only a ceremonial head. So the reason for the indirect election is that the president makes his position clear that he is a ceremonial head while the prime minister is the real head and the leader of the country, because he and his council of ministers are directly elected by the people. So this is the reason for the that. Now who then this the Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, India, uh, in the presence of the Prime Minister and his Council of the Minister, the President takes the oath of the office. Uh, now, now something is like that. How the this if what happens when the president is how can be the president removed from the office? So there if any president, like in case of a death of the president, his office falls vacant, like that president is not there. Then till the time new president is not there, vice president takes the charge of that. The resignation is also a president may resign from his post at any time, and in this case, the uh, the vacancy in this case is also filled after that after the new election until the time vice president takes the charge of that. Now he can be removed only by impeachment. Now what is impeachment? Like if any president begins to act against the constitution of India and he is found guilty for misusing his status and position, then the impeached, he can be removed by the impeachment. And what is this impeachment is that he may be impeached out of office where charges can be framed by either of two houses of the parliament, either by Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha, by a two-third majority, and if the charges are also established by the other house by a two-third majority, the president stands impeached and he is at once removed from the office and the vice president immediately takes over the charge. You know, this is the process, a very complex process where first they like uh, but it is that the first the resolution was passed and within 14 days they give the notice for that impeachment notice in the parliament, and after that two-third majority is needed for that proving that he is uh, uh, like he is guilty of misbehaving or uh, misusing the constitution. Then after that this he is removed from the office. It's not a very simple process. Now what the president, what are the facilities president is getting? That he is getting the salary, paid salary is there, and he retires, then he gets a pension also, and he is entitled to live in the Rashtrapati Bhavan free of cost. Uh, and he gets so many other allowances that is divided by the parliament time to time. Now we are coming to the very important part, that is the powers of the president. What are the powers of the president? So the first one is the executive power of the president. Now we are going to uh, read about the executive power. Now you know this, that president is the executive head of the executives. It means vice president, council of minister, prime minister, he is the executive head. So he has to make many appointments to keep posts to run the administration. Now the prime minister, now the first point, the prime minister, the council of minister, all are chosen by president. It means he summons the leader of the majority group in the parliament and asks him to form the government. And now, like the governors of the state, second one, the governors of the states that are also appointed by him, the lieutenant governors, the chief justice, and the judges of the Supreme Court and the high courts. and the chairman and members of the Union Public Service Commission. You must have heard UPSC. So all the chairmen and the members, they are like he he is uh, he is the authority to give them the appointment there, elect them, and the administration of the union territories and the border area is responsibility of the president. Uh, the president has the power of directing, coordinating, and controlling the state governments. Uh, Now, all the union ministers are individually responsible to the president and hold office. Like whatever they do, they report to the president also. Now we are coming to the legislative powers. Legislative power, the President of India is an integral part of the Parliament, which consists of the President, Lok Sabha, and the Rajya Sabha. The President of India has many powers, legislative power. The first session of the Parliament after the general election, when the general election means election of the Lok Sabha. The first session each year is addressed by the president. He is the person who addressed the uh, Lok Sabha after the general election. He can summon or prorogue. It means he can call either house of the parliament, any house, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, he can call that house. He can dissolve the Lok Sabha and order fresh election also. And he can address a joint session of the parliament or each one of the house separately. It is up to him. If he wants to have a joint session, he can have a joint session of the parliament, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, or he can have it separately also. It is up to him. This is given to him, this power. Now, like any bill, like if any bill is coming, uh, been rejected by any house of the parliament, and if more than 6 months have lapsed, the president can summon a joint session of the parliament. In that case, if any bill has been rejected by any house of the parliament, whether Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and like 6 months are passed and nobody is talking about that bill or doing anything, then he can call a joint session of the parliament in that case. Uh, Now he nominates 12 members of the Rajya Sabha and 2 members to the Lok Sabha to represent the Anglo-Indian community in India if none of its members get a seat in Lok Sabha. If no Anglo-Indian member is there, then he can nominate anyone for the Rajya Sabha. He can send messages to either house of the parliament. He can send any message regarding the legislation to the house of the parliament. So, no bill is passed by both the house of the parliament to become a law. The president may give his assent or withhold the bill or send it back to the house for reconsideration. He can, if any bill is there, except the money bill. If any bill comes there, he can have that bill. He can write his suggestions and can send back to the parliament or the house of the back to the houses for the recommendation. And in the case of the money bill, he is not having this choice. He has to sign the money bill. Now, we are coming to the ordinance power. What do you mean by the ordinance power of the? It means when the Lok Sabha is not there, session of the Lok Sabha is not there, Parliament is not there. At that time, if any law is needed, then he can he can approve that law, or uh, and for the 6 weeks from the date it is reassembled, the ordinance will, after 6 weeks it will lapse, but he can make the law for that period. And now we are coming to the financial powers of the president. Uh, he causes the annual financial statement to be laid before the parliament in the beginning of every as the budget, every time in annual budget and the supplementary budget to be laid before the parliament. And no money bill can be introduced in the parliament without his prior assent. Like if they have to introduce the money bill in advance, they will give this information to the president that we are introducing the money bill. He distributes the share of the income tax received between the union and the states. And now we are coming to the judicial power. As you know, judicial power, uh, numbers of judicial powers are given to the president. He is not answerable before any court of law for discharge of duties. No court can ask him. It means no court can ask him about his duties. Okay. And no criminal suit can be initiated against him during the tenure of office. It means when he is a president, no criminal cases can be filed against him. And a third one, uh, this is a very important one which you know that every year like some mercy appeals are there. So he has the power to grant pardon, to remit or suspend a sentence of punishment on any appeal for mercy. Okay. He can commute even death sentence to imprisonment for life or otherwise in respect of an offender who has been sentenced to death by the Supreme Court. He can can if somebody is appealing a mercy appeal to change my death sentence to imprisonment, it is up to him to he can do that. Now about the military power. So the military powers of the president, like you all know that he is the supreme commander of the all armed forces of India. That is your navy, air force or army. He is the supreme commander of these. Okay, and he appoints the chiefs of 3 weeks of the armed forces. Whatever chiefs are appointed, that is he appoints them. uh, Certain rule and regulations are there for appointing them, but he is the person who finally announces that this person is the chief. He can declare war or conclude peace with any foreign power on the advice of his council of ministers. That is with the help, everything is dictated, that it is dictated by the council of the ministers and the prime minister is the head of the council of ministers. So with their suggestion he can declare a war or conclude peace with any foreign power. Now the diplomatic powers of the president. The president sends ambassadors to other countries. And here again, the ambassadors are chosen by the government, the elected government. He receives ambassadors and other. If any ambassadors is coming to our country, he is the person to receive them. He enters into treaties and agreement with other nation. Okay, he represents India at international conferences. He is the like he represents the country. Now, this is very important one. This is emergency powers. Uh, this is you know that emergency power means of all the powers, the President of India emergency powers have the most far-reaching effects. Like the President can declare three types of emergencies. There are three types of emergencies which can be declared by the President. That is a national emergency, state emergency, and the financial. And now we are coming to the national emergency. A national emergency is that it can be declared in the whole of India or part of its territory in case of a war or external aggression like terrorist attacks or armed rebellion, that type of, he can declare the emergency. And the thing is that he can declare this emergency only on the basis of a written request. If the Council of the Minister and the Prime Minister are requesting him written that they are needing this emergency, only then he can declare that. Now the state emergency, you know, president's rule. When the state machinery, state government fails, then at that time the president can have a president rule is imposed in a state. So this is according to the, again according to the constitution, that is emergency in the state. We call it emergency in the state when the state machinery fails. So such an emergency must be approved by the parliament again within a period of 2 months. If he is declaring that, then it should be approved by the parliament within 2 months. If the emergency needs to be extended beyond a period of 3 years, this can be achieved by a constitutional amendment. As you know, it happened in the Punjab and Jammu Kashmir also. Now the financial emergency. Financial emergency is that when under the Article 360 of the Constitution, President can declare a financial emergency when a financial stability or credit feasibility of the nation or any part of its territory is threatened or has occurred or is likely to occur. And again, then the parliament, this should be approved by the parliament within 2 months. And till today, this type of emergency has not been declared in India. Okay, that is the financial one. Now, we are coming, I want to tell you something, that is a pocket veto. And this is a, you know that the any bill is not become a law or that without the signature of the president. Financial bill, the president uh, has to sign. He can't keep the bill with him, but others bill he can keep with him without signing also. So when with that the constitution does not prescribe any time limit within which the president is to declare his assent or refusal or return to the bill. The constitution has not said that the prime minister, president is going to keep the bill only for 10 days or the 15 days or that. So this power he can he can keep any bill uh, without signing it, and by the reason of this absence of time limit, the president may simply keep the bill on his desk without signing for a indefinite time. And this is called a power which is called, we call it pocket veto. This is not for money bill. Money bill he has to sign, but other bills he can keep the bill on his desk. And this is comes under the discretionary powers of the president. And one more power is there, that is when no political party or coalition of the party, when many parties are there and no party has got the majority, absolute majority which is needed for forming the government, then he can call any party leader to form the government. He, whatever, this is the party, he thinks that this person can make the government, he can call the person of his choice to form the government. The first, like he has the power to call anyone first. So this is the case when the no political party or coalition of the party enjoys the majority. That time he has got that power that he can call anyone for forming the any leader of party to form the government. The president, one more power is there. The president can normally dissolve the Lok Sabha only on the advice of the Union Council of Ministers. But the advice is not binding on the president if the government has lost majority. If the government has lost majority, the Lok Sabha, they are not having the majority, the ruling government, then this power is not binding on the president. In all such cases, the president can exercise his own discretion. That time, then he can ask, if the government has lost majority, he has resigned, or it's shaky or unstable, he can resolve the Lok Sabha. He can dissolve the Lok Sabha. And he has the right to seek information from Prime Minister regarding the administration of the affairs of the Union. He can ask anything, like this power is given to him. So these are the main powers of the president. Now, you know, sometimes this is asked to you, like if any dispute is there, then who who settles the dispute arising in connection with the election of the president? Like suppose election is there, uh, and regarding the candidate, here I want to tell you that election of the president is there, then every who are the members of the electoral college, they get a paper where all the names of the president who have who have filled the nomination for the presidential candidate, all names are there, and they have to give the name of every candidate in preference. Like this will be the first one, this can be the second candidate for the president, uh, third, fourth, whatever the numbers are there, they have to give the name. And if during the election, uh, any candidate is the first one is getting more than 50% of the votes, then this there is no dispute. He can be elected as a president of India. But suppose if the first candidate has not got the more than 50% vote, then they check the second preference of everyone. Then who has got the highest vote? So this is called the vote of preference. Okay, and this way they do. But if any dispute occurs during this process, then who settles this dispute? The dispute arising in connection with the election of a president is settled down by the Supreme Court of India. Then the Supreme Court decides this. So this is that. Uh, that is about this the vote of preference and the disputes arising during the election. Uh, Now it can be asked to who administers the oath office of the president, like on who is there who is like administering the oath of the office. Then the Chief Justice of India administers the oath of office to the president. Okay. Now, now suppose the president has resigned. Who will take his office in his absence? So this is simple. The Vice President of India will take his office in the absence of the president. Okay. Now this is there. Now it can be asked you, uh, uh, when can the president issue ordinance? Ordinance, I said you, is issued only when the parliament is not in session, and if any law is needed that time he can issue a ordinance. He can make a law, it means. Now this question is also there, that whom does the president call upon to form the government after the election of the Lok Sabha? Remember that the president calls upon the prime minister to form the government after the election of Lok Sabha, and the leader of the majority party is elected as the prime minister. Now this is also I have explained you who presides over the joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament. So president presides over the joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament. And when the first session of the parliament starts, then he jointly addresses both the houses of the parliament. now when the emergency is declared, that time how long can a state of emergency remain in power without parliament's approval? So when a president declare an emergency, then it can remain in operation for 2 months without the parliament's approval. After that, parliament's approval is needed for that emergency. One more thing is there which I want to tell you very clearly, that that president is getting his salary as a president of India, but the vice president of India is not getting his salary as a vice president of India. He is getting his salary as a speaker of the Rajya Sabha. So it shows that the president is having, when the president is there, the more powers are with the president. So these are all the revision of your president part. If you have anything is left which you have not understood, you can ask me. This doubt clearing this video I have made because Pratibha was having many doubts which I have cleared in this video, and if you are having any doubt you can call me and I can clear your doubt.